I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where your body just decides to completely betray you, but that's exactly what happened to me last year. I was traveling solo in Bali, loving every second of it. The food, the culture, the adventure, it felt like the perfect getaway. I had been planning this trip for months, researching all the hidden gems, the best beaches, the local markets. I was in a good place, mentally and physically. But then, something changed. It started off small, a little pain in my stomach. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just something I ate. But then, the pain grew. And I mean grew. By the next day, I was on my hotel bed, curled up, trying not to move. And that's when I realized something wasn't right. At first, I tried to self-diagnose. Maybe it was a stomach bug. Maybe I was just dehydrated from too much sun. But as the hours passed, the pain became unbearable. It wasn't just discomfort anymore. It was sharp, intense, and constant. I knew I couldn't wait it out. So I did what anyone would do. I called for help. The hotel arranged for a doctor to come see me. And when the doctor arrived, I could see the concern in his eyes. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "You need to go to the hospital, and you need to get there fast." Suddenly, everything felt real. I wasn't just sick on vacation. I was in a foreign country with no family nearby and no idea what was actually happening inside my body. The doctor made it clear that I needed immediate treatment, but here's where things took a turn. My condition was serious enough that I had to be evacuated out of Bali. The closest hospital that could handle my case was in Singapore, and that meant a medical evacuation. That's when the panic set in. I was shaking, trying to wrap my head around it. I wasn't just dealing with a medical emergency anymore. I was dealing with the logistics of being moved across borders. Here's where I'll admit. My first thought wasn't about my health. It was about the cost. I had heard horror stories about medical evacuations costing tens of thousands of dollars. And I was alone. I was scared. And I felt completely unprepared for this. I had bought travel insurance before I left home, but let's be honest, it wasn't something I spent much time thinking about. Who really does? You buy it, forget about it, and hope you never need it. But in that moment, as the pain intensified, I found myself praying I hadn't made a mistake by not getting better coverage. Now, I'm not going to lie, getting evacuated wasn't quick. It wasn't easy. It was intense. I was wheeled onto a private medical flight with a nurse and doctor accompanying me, all while I was hooked up to N4 and being monitored closely. I was in and out of consciousness, and the entire experience felt like a blur. But here's where it gets crazy. As soon as I arrived at the hospital in Singapore, things started to fall into place. I got the treatment I needed, and I could breathe again. But what really blew me away was the fact that I didn't have to worry about the bills. I wasn't getting hit with an overwhelming financial burden, even though I was in a foreign country and needed life-saving care. Why? Because my travel insurance had covered it. The medical evacuation, the treatment, the hospital stay, all of it. It was honestly a huge relief, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't even know how I would have managed without that coverage. I know this all sounds dramatic, and trust me, it was. But it's the reality of what could happen when you travel far from home. Things can go wrong, and you never see them coming. And when they do, the last thing you want to worry about is money. That's when I realized something important. Travel insurance isn't just something you get for the just-in-case moments. It's a lifeline. Now, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but here's the lesson I learned. Don't skimp on your travel insurance. And I don't mean the generic one that everyone gets. I mean the kind that actually has your back when things get real. For me, that meant finding a service that had the specific coverage I needed, not just a low-cost option that might leave me high and dry. That's how I found Auras.insure. Look, I'm not here to sell you anything. But after going through everything I did, I can honestly say that I trust this company. They helped me when I was at my lowest, and I wouldn't have made it through without them. So if you're planning a trip, especially somewhere that might feel a little out of your comfort zone, consider looking into Auras.insure. Trust me, it's one of those things that you'll be thankful for when the unexpected happens. Because when you're lying in a foreign hospital bed, the last thing you want to do is think about how you're going to pay for it.